So, I moved in with my new roommate, Kyle, about 3 months ago. Kyle's an eco-warrior, like, the kind of guy who brings his own mason jar to Starbucks just in case. So when he announced he was starting a compost bin, I just nodded and thought, hey, at least it's not a worm farm. He even labeled 2 identical Tupperware bins in the fridge, one for leftovers and one for compost. I figured as long as the kitchen didn't start smelling like a bog, we were golden. Fast forward a few weeks, and I started noticing some changes. The leftover spaghetti was a little zestier than I remembered, the mashed potatoes had a funk that wasn't exactly garlic, and the chili had a bouquet that could only be described as mature. I chalked it up to Kyle's fondness for experimental seasoning and tried not to think too hard about it. But then I caught Kyle scraping what looked suspiciously like orange peels onto his plate and calling it citrus zest fusion. That's when things started to really spiral. By week 4, our meals had evolved into what I can only describe as fermentation roulette. Every bite was a gamble. Was this green bean casserole, or had it transcended into an entirely new life form? When I asked Kyle which bin was which, he just shrugged and said, I guess we'll find out together. At this point, the fridge had all the mystery of a blind date and the suspense of a horror movie. My other friends stopped coming over for dinner after the infamous blue cheese surprise, which, spoiler alert, was supposed to be lasagna. So last night, I confronted Kyle while he was eating what I sincerely hope was vegan meatloaf. I demanded to know if he'd mixed up the bins. He looked me dead in the eye, took another bite, and said, honestly, at this point, I think the only thing separating our meals from the compost is a matter of taste. And questionable ethics. Turns out, in our kitchen, the real leftovers were the friends we made along the way.